Ladies and gentlemen, we will start in a couple of minutes. May I ask you to take your seats, please? Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to welcome you today for the very first Nuclear Energy Summit. This is the highest level meeting to date, exclusively focused on the topic of nuclear energy. And this summit is a testament to the open and innovative spirit of Brussels, and the Atomium is a symbol of that. Today will feature national statements by each of the delegations present, a host press conference, and a sequence of panel discussions to debate the place of nuclear power in our road to net zero. Allow me to give the floor to one of today's hosts, the Belgian Prime Minister, for his opening remarks. Please welcome Mr. Alexander De Croo.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming from around the world, a very warm welcome here in Brussels. We are just a few steps away from the Atomium. The Atomium, a symbol of technology and innovation, an infinite belief in scientific progress. When the Atomium was erected in 1958, it was very different from your everyday monument. It echoed the optimism about the atomic age, with gleaming spheres evoking scientific wonder. Reflecting human ingenuity, the Atomium inspired generations to come. This is the very reason why we meet today. Reaching net zero by 2050 will require the same human ingenuity. And nuclear energy will be part of achieving that ambitious goal. For Belgium, today's gathering is about accelerating our collective path to climate neutrality. Every day, in every corner of the globe, the consequences of climate change are becoming increasingly visible. We cannot waste any time when it comes to fighting global warming. The challenge we face is enormous. It will require vast, safe, and reliable amounts of carbon-neutral energy. It will require a perspective for sustainable growth. It will require us to have our citizens and industries on board. It will require nuclear energy as part of the mix. Energy abundance is the way forward. Our energy future depends on pursuing an and story, not and or. And that is exactly what Belgium has done over recent years, by investing massively in offshore renewable energy. Our coastline is very limited, but we are quadrupling our offshore wind power production in the North Sea. By 2030, our production will cover the electricity consumption of 5 million households, almost all of our population. We are erecting the world's first energy island in our waters, with interconnectors that will connect wind farms from all over Northern Europe. But Belgium has also decided to extend the operations of its youngest power plants for a further 10 years. And we are investing 100 million in SMR research. Our approach must be comprehensive, embracing different energy sources, navigating the complexities of energy security in the 21st century. This first Nuclear Energy Summit brings together over 300 CEOs, entrepreneurs, scientists and civil society figures alongside 37 political leaders. You will plan our common energy future together, from intentions to projects, from PowerPoints to standardization and scalability. To achieve our goals, we will need your ingenuity. Governments, but even more so, our citizens and private partners. We will only succeed when innovation is brought to the market in a cost-effective manner. Repeatability is at its heart, pushing back the optimism bias that all too often hinders budgeting and planning. This is the key to achieve the promise of the atom once again. One final word of gratitude for your leadership, Director General Grossi de Raphael, for your recognition of Belgium's nuclear heritage, for your support to my government effort to reverse course and to achieve lifetime extension under difficult circumstances. I wish all of you here today creativity, perseverance, and of course, ingenuity. Enjoy this first global summit for nuclear energy. We are proud to be your host. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister De Croo. This summit is co-organized by the International Atomic Energy Agency, the World Centre for Cooperation in the Nuclear Field, while promoting the safe, secure and peaceful use of nuclear technology. I would therefore like to give the floor to the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency for his opening remarks, Dr. Raffaele Mariano Grossi.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Alexander, thank you for hosting us for this first ever Nuclear Energy Summit. It is interesting to note that it took 70 years of commercial exploitation of nuclear energy to have the first meeting at your level, at our level, at the level of world leaders. And it's logical that it happens now. Could have happened before, but now it is not a good thing to have. It is a need. It is a necessary thing to have. There is a convergence of factors that we all know and you as leaders are dealing with every day. There is an energy crisis, an energy dilemma. There are also undeniable tensions in the world, and we know for a fact that nuclear energy today, not as a prospect, not as a plan, not as a utopian idea, is today, as we speak, providing a quarter, 25% of the clean energy which is produced in the world, and here in Europe, half of it. But more is needed in a collaborative way. As Alexander was wisely saying, this is not a beauty contest. This is a fight where we have to use all the available, dispatchable, CO2-free energy sources for the common challenge, which is to decarbonize our energy matrices as soon as we can. And we are moving in that direction. As I was saying, it took 70 years to get to the first summit. It took 28 conferences on climate change to recognize at long last that nuclear should be accelerated. And it's good that it has happened. Better late than never. And now we need to see what is needed so that this is done in the right way. And this is why the IAEA is part of the effort. This is why we are here. Because we were created in the 1950s, more or less at the time the beautiful atomium was being built. In fact, the atomium was 58. The IAEA was created in 57, after the 1953 Atoms for Peace speech by President Eisenhower at the United Nations. Atoms for Peace is what we need. And Atoms for Peace is all about the challenge that we have in front of us. The important thing is that this, in a world that is, of course, confronted with all these tensions and differences, this, as you can see here, this is a global effort. It's not Europe, it's Africa, it's Asia, it's Latin America, it's North America. It's the world that needs this to get its act together and to do it in a better way. But of course, when we meet at this level of leaders, it's not to celebrate or simply to commemorate something, it's to think about how to do it better and how to do it right. And this is why I'm very proud to say that all the participants from all over the world reunited here in Brussels have agreed on a declaration that addresses these points. This declaration addresses all these points, but also focuses on what we still need to do in order to facilitate, to make possible that this promise, that this factor, that the nuclear factor is there in the right way. And what we have in mind here, of course, is aspects that are very, very concrete, very tangible, like the financing, for example. And we know that still we do have, or we do not have, rather, a level playing field when it comes to integrating nuclear. We still have an international financial institutions and architecture that in some cases, even today, prevents, forbids financing of nuclear projects. But we have moved beyond that. A page has been turned, and we have to make sure that we are well aligned to do what we need to do. This is why we are so happy to be here. This is why the first ever Nuclear Energy Summit is marking a way forward. And the IAEA is going, of course, to be playing its role, to make sure that whenever that happens, whenever nuclear energy is used, whenever we are benefiting from that, this is going to be done in a safe, secure, and in a non-proliferation way. So thank you again, Alexander, for having so graciously hosted this important historic meeting. We are there. We are going to be working together. This is a decision. Nuclear energy will be part of the solution, and we are very happy to be doing it with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director General Grossi. And we are joined here today with quite a lot of delegations from around the world and more than 300 representatives from industry, civil society and the broader nuclear energy community. We will now move on to the national statements by each of the delegations gathered here today. Welcome the President of the European Council, His Excellency Charles Michel.
Dear Prime Minister, dear Alexander, Madam President of the Commission, dear Director General Rafael Grossi, dear Head of State, Head of Governments, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, dear Alexander, let me thank you for hosting this important summit under the Belgian presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, a more sovereign Europe is not just wishful thinking. Today, the world is more dangerous and unpredictable than ever. Wars, conflicts, climate change, and the digital revolution. And that's why in the EU we know that we must take greater responsibility for our common future. Our actions must match our ambitions. We are getting stronger in strategic areas and building our European sovereignty, especially in two critical areas that should be priorities for all of us. First, our competitiveness and prosperity. Second, our security and defense. Russia's war against Ukraine has been a brutal awakening for all of us. It showed we need to be a lot stronger in security and defense. We must be defense ready. But Russia's war has also had a dramatic impact on our energy security. In fact, the Kremlin fired an energy missile at Europe to obliterate our economies, weaken our societies, and destroy our morale. And it showed we must be more independent in the energy sector and less dependent on unreliable regimes for our energy. More independence means more freedom. Freedom to act boldly, to defend our interests and to promote our fundamental values. And that's why we must build a genuine energy union as a pillar of our EU sovereignty, because this would allow Europeans to act collectively and give us more energy security and more control of our future. Nuclear energy has a role to play in our European sovereignty. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, nuclear energy accounts for about 10% of electricity generation globally. And in the EU, each member state decides on its own energy mix, including whether to include nuclear power or not. Nuclear can help ensure grid stability when fossil fuel power stations are phased out, nuclear helps give our union more energy security. Nuclear energy can also help us fight climate change by reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. We are investing massively in renewables, it was said by the Prince of Belgium. But we need to do more, we must innovate more, small modular reactors, foster new technologies such as hydrogen. They could be decisive in decarbonizing our building sector, for instance, and promising advances in fusion and fission technologies could be a game changer for the future of nuclear energy. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, we also need to strengthen nuclear security around the world. And the IAEA plays a crucial role helping countries apply international safety standards to strengthen nuclear power plant safety. Dear Director General, dear friend Rafael Grossi, the EU fully supports you, your work. The agency is playing a fundamental role in ensuring nuclear energy is used for safe, secure and peaceful purposes. Ladies and gentlemen, the green and energy transition is a challenge for every country across the globe, and nuclear has a role in supporting these transitions that affect every human being, no matter where they live on this planet. Today, again, Europe is being severely challenged. European sovereignty is, I am convinced, our best answer to this challenge, our path to making the EU stronger, more independent and more influential. We will deliver on this vision. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And now I'm very honored to give the floor to the President of the European Commission. May I ask you a warm welcome to Her Excellency, Ursula von der Leyen.
Dear Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, fellow leaders, Excellencies, Director General Grossi, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity to address this summit meeting. As everyone is aware, there are different views across the European Union on nuclear power. But I am here because I believe that in countries that are open to the technology, nuclear technology can play an important role in the clean energy transition. I can also see that after the global energy crisis caused by Russia's invasion in Ukraine, many countries are giving a fresh look to the potential role that nuclear might play. So why is this? First of all, of course, to reach our climate goals. Let us not forget that nuclear power worldwide is the second largest source of low-emission electricity after hydropower. Second, of course, to safeguard our energy security. Countries look to reduce their dependence on imported fossil fuels. And the third reason is to ensure our competitiveness. Nuclear power can provide a reliable anchor for electricity prices. Now, this renewed interest comes at a pivotal moment. Most pathways to net zero keep a place open for nuclear power. And if I look at the International Energy Agency's 2050 scenario, for example, nuclear power, nuclear capacity has more than to double till 2050, while renewables, of course, take the most of the work of decarbonizing global electricity supply. And yes, also our European Commission projections show that renewable energy sources in the majority are complemented by nuclear energy and will be the backbone of the EU power production by 2050. However, this future for nuclear technology is hardly assured. The reality today in most markets is a reality of a slow but steady decline in market share. So if you look at the world as a whole, nuclear currently accounts for 9% of the global electricity mix. But in 1988, nuclear power reached 18% share. That is the double of today. And the same is visible within the European Union. Nuclear power is still the largest single source of electricity generation in the European Union, with a 22% share. But that share is substantially below the levels reached in the 1990s, when nuclear power generated 1/3 of Europe's electricity. So what would it take for nuclear to make a substantial contribution to our climate neutrality objective? And I see a few key tasks ahead of us. The main one is to secure new investments. The IAEA analysis tells us that investments need to accelerate already this decade and reach new heights in the 2030s to meet the Paris Agreement target. That requires support from governments to ensure that financing is available and that nuclear's contribution to electricity security is properly valued and remunerated. It secondly means discipline from the nuclear power industry. The future of nuclear depends on the industry's ability to deliver on time and on budget. Far too often, the realization of nuclear power plants has resulted in significant additional costs and overruns. Another task is to look at new opportunities to support the clean transition. The biggest opportunity is clearly in the electricity sector. But there are other potential avenues for nuclear, for example, to provide decarbonized heat or to supply low-emission hydrogen. These can help cut emission from industry, which will be critical to reach climate goals. Then there is, of course, also the issue of lifetime extensions for existing nuclear plants, provided, of course, they are safe operations. Given the urgency of the climate challenge, countries need to consider their options carefully before they forego a readily available source of low-emission electricity. Extending the safe operation of today's nuclear fleet is one of the cheapest ways to secure clean power at scale. So it can help pave a cost-effective path to net zero. The final task is to innovate. Innovation in nuclear technologies is a very dynamic space, particularly for nuclear power technologies such as small modular reactors. And of course, as with every emergent technology, there are ups and downs, successes and failures. That is quite normal. But SMRs are a promising technology, and there is a race underway. The race is among leading countries and companies to prove this technology and bring it to the market. More than 80 projects around the world are moving forward, and several of our member states have expressed a strong interest in SMRs, so let's go for it. So to conclude, I leave you with these 4 tasks. Invest now in climate neutrality 2050. Broaden your engagement with clean energy transition. Consider the extending of lifetimes of existing plants with full commitment to the highest level of safety, and innovate. If the industry and governments can deliver on these tasks, then I can see a way forward for nuclear power to make a significant contribution to a rapid, safe and secure net zero future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam President von der Leyen. And now, please welcome the President of Romania, His Excellency Klaus Werner Iohannis.
Thank you. Prime Minister De Croo, Director General Grossi, heads of state and government, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start by thanking our hosts, Prime Minister De Croo and Director General Grossi, for organizing a summit stressing the urgency of climate action and the importance of nuclear energy in the global energy transition. This summit bears profound significance, emerging in the aftermath of the landmark inclusion of nuclear energy in the global stocktake at COP28 in Dubai. Climate change is a global challenge that requires coordinated action and ambitious measures. The International Atomic Energy Agency is crucial in facilitating cooperation towards increasing our social and economic development. Romania's cooperation with the agency will continue as we embark towards a more sustainable and energy-secure future. Ladies and gentlemen, Romania is determined to develop its nuclear energy program through enhancing large-scale production capacity and deploying the innovative small modular reactor technology by working with the United States and other key partners. Moreover, we aim to become a regional leader in nuclear energy operations and deployment, in training specialized workforce and the supply chain hub for nuclear energy production. In developing the National Nuclear Energy Program, we are committed to safety for the public and the environment, secure operation of our facilities, and full compliance with our non-proliferation requirements. Excellencies, I expect today's summit to strengthen the commitment to the expansion of nuclear power in the European Union and global energy mix. This commitment is essential for unlocking timely investments, for consolidating supply chains, and for training the next generation of nuclear energy specialists. I welcome recent steps taken in this regard by the European Commission, such as the European Industrial Alliance on small modular reactors. We need to make sure that our nuclear energy ambitions benefit from suitable financial support, considering also the role of nuclear power in accelerating decarbonization. Combining public and private funding is crucial in creating a business model for accelerated nuclear deployment, easily replicable. We need to expand our investments in research, demonstration projects, and development of nuclear materials and technologies. In conclusion, allow me to call for unified action that leverages the massive potential of nuclear energy to drive us towards a net zero and energy secure future. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now I would like to give the floor to the President of Serbia, His Excellency Aleksandar Vučić.